Hello everyone, my name's Danielle from Cageless Readings. So if you've watched some of my other videos, this pick a card reading is going to be pretty different from my other ones. My friend for my 30th birthday just gifted me this Mystic Martian Oracle deck. And it's kind of fun. I mean, it's actually pretty hard to find a deck that I don't have. I mean, there is still tons out there, but I feel like if you're just looking through the more common ones, I most likely have it. So she decided she would just go for the most random deck she could find, and I actually find it super cute. So in, what's the word? In honor of my friend gifting this to me, maybe I'll say that, we're gonna do sort of a alien reading. I was gonna say starseed, but I feel like this deck is very Martian and not starseedy, so we're gonna do an alien reading. So how are we gonna make it incorporated and make it all make sense? We're also gonna be using this golden future oracle card deck, which funny enough, as my friend was like sneakishly trying to find out if I had this Martian deck, was like sending some decks she liked to me in pictures, and then I was like, but she was saying she wanted them for herself, so then I was like Googling like decks, and I came across this Diana Cooper one, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. So then I ended up buying it. So I got it pretty much the same time as my friend gave me this deck, because it just like arrived in the mail the same day, so somehow they feel like they should be going together. And then we're also going to be throwing in the Star Codes Astro Oracle, just because I felt like it was a similar vibe. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for this one. And I just think it's going to be fun. I have read with these cards for my friend who got them for me. I did like almost a similar reading to what I'm going to do for this group, but a little bit different. And then I did one for myself, and I asked for the blood lineage of all of you, assuming it's going to be some sort of a Martian or starseed thing. But actually in this deck, it is possible that you're just human. It is possible. There is that card in there. So yeah, I just thought it'd be kind of fun and totally different. So I am setting the intention that I'm going to look at your physical bloodline. And what I want to be clear about the difference here is, so your soul has a different sort of past and history, and then your physical body that you got born into, so your physical family versus your soul family. They can be the same group for some people, and for others it's going to be different. But anyways, I just thought it'd be fun to look at your physical body. And it is just interesting. I find it speaks more to your karmic reasons or your dharma reasons about why you came to Earth, what you're doing here, because you chose to be born into that physical lineage. So there could be some healing stuff you're trying to do. Just to fully disclose, like my friend and I both had different kind of draconian races in our physical lineage, which I mean we both were suspicious of. I mean, you usually don't just like pull a card and are shocked. You usually have an idea, and for some of you who know more about that kind of stuff, it's sort of like frowned upon. But I'm like, it's not my soul lineage, it's literally my physical lineage, and it just makes sense. It goes with all the other things I've known and come to learn about myself, about why I would have incarnated into sort of a lowered vibrational physical lineage, you could say. But that's once again my human judgment on it. Like, some people would be stoked to be from this lineage, so you know, it is what it is. No reason to hate on yourself. So anyways, I just want to disclaim that, because I feel like some people, like there is in the mainstream, I don't know if you can say aliens are mainstream, but in the more mainstream belief systems, there's a lot of like bad alien lineages to come from and good alien lineages to come from. So just don't be hard on yourself. Like, whatever it is, there's a great reason why you came through for that physical lineage, and it's usually to change the vibration of that lineage as well. So yeah, I just kind of want to say that, because I feel like some people are going to be a little disappointed. But do remember, it's not your soul lineage, it is the physical bloodline lineage we're looking into. And it could be really far back as well. That's kind of what came up for my friend and I when we were doing this, is that it was like, like generations and generations and generations and generations and generations and continued generations ago. So it's like the percentage of DNA that we probably still share is like super small, but it was just interesting to kind of have these confirmations on these things we suspected about ourselves. And that's what I'm hoping to bring for you today. So that all being said, we have 3 piles to choose from. We are going to be asking what your bloodline is, what alien or non-alien species your blood lineage originated from. And we're also going to ask for why you chose to come into that bloodline, that physical bloodline, because that seems important. And I feel like we'd all love clarity around that. So before we let you choose your piles, I do have another card I'm going to put on top that you can choose from. I'm just gonna do a little clearing. So it's when I pull out my little triangle here, my crystal pyramid, and I just set the intention that it's going to ground you, get you connected with your intuition, back connected in your body, and just sort of calm you back into a state of peace. Because any kind of card reading like this can make us go into our fears, non-fears. It can be good things and bad things, but we just kind of want you more grounded. So we're just going to play this for a second here and ground you all, and then let you choose your piles. Okay. So for pile 1, they do all have the same card decks, by the way. All 3 of the card decks are in all of them. I just put a different back of the deck on top for each pile, just because I kind of wanted to show off their cool, kind of interesting backs. And it just gave you another option to choose from, which I like. So anyways, pile 1, what is on top here is the Martian Mystical Oracle card deck. And the card for you to choose from is number 42, and it says World Peace and Cooperation. Choose harmlessness and teamwork. Super vibrant cards, eh? I love them. Definitely go with the theme of the golden future, higher frequency sort of vibe. Okay, pile 2 is number 26. The waters of the planet, bless the rain, rivers, and oceans. And pile 3, your card number is 41, and it says the super love portal. Accept yourself as a cosmic being. Okay, so I'll just give you a few extra seconds here if you're not quite sure which one you're feeling called to, and I'll see you all in your card readings. Hello, pile 1. So you chose the World Peace and Cooperation card. So this was actually one of the cards I pulled for why you chose, sorry, I'm speaking in weird tenses, why you chose to come into this blood lineage. Okay, so same with all of these cards. I wonder if I should almost start with the why and then reveal the what. That could be kind of backwards and fun. I don't know, I feel like this pile, like you're gonna like be happier with what the answer is once you know the why. So here we have communal markets, we have animals, we have education, and we have music. So Very interesting. And the first thing I kind of think about when I see these animal cards is like I've just seen that some race, like species or alien races, find it actually a little confusing how much we love animals. We just love them. We have such an open heart to them. We cherish them so much. And it's not that they don't, but they just kind of see kind of like how we can treat each other, how we can treat children even in the world, and they find it a little perplexing, just the deep love we experience with animals. And not everyone either on this planet, but I think if you chose this pile, you're probably one of those people who really, really loves like a pet that you have, a dog, a cat, maybe you have a spider, or you have even like some unusual pets, and I think you just love them. And that's even like, that's so interesting. I feel like that's a strong thing that comes through already about something you wanted to just experience, was this deep connection with animals. So that's really neat. Education, this is interesting. So I don't know, I didn't peek at the cards yet, but I did get the impression, the reason why I'm doing this reverse is I feel like you are not going to like where your blood relations come from at first. I mean, I don't want to say this is a hard rule for this pile, but I think you're hoping for something like Pleiadian, or there's like that Andurian, is that, am I saying it right? Andromedan. There we go. That was the word they were trying to tell me. Andromedan. But I don't think your physical lineage has come from there. And they're just saying like you might have a little bit of a stereotype against this, whatever comes up in this bloodline. So it's saying, like, it's so funny. It says education, expand your right brain creativity. So it's even like, sorry, I'm just double checking that I'm not just like throwing my opinions out there. Yeah, I do really get that it's even to change. You know how at the intro, if you watched it, it's okay if you didn't. I was saying, like, I feel like some of the things that are going to come through was that some of you have most likely come into this physical line to kind of change the vibration or the energy that has been previously associated with it. So I think you're probably going for it's probably like a slightly, I don't want to say hostile. It's not hostile, but it isn't one that humans known to be the greatest alien, for lack of a better word, or Martian to be in relationship with, or to to encounter still. So I feel like this is what's interesting. When I see the education card, it's saying like I feel like you even wanted to like defy the norms and like see this world differently, because I keep seeing like this DNA strand. So it's even like interesting that one, you did just want to experience, I think, the experience of life. That's pretty like adamant. There's like all this crazy shit happening here. There's things from like taking like, there's like a little bridge, there's like just like you name it, it's happening in this card. There's little math skills, there's just like little bits of everything. And I just really see this as like truly wanting to experience what the human experience was like and take it all in. Like I see the face and I see this person's mouth is like open in awe. Like even saying like if this pile probably has gone through some crazy highs and lows in their life. And I feel like that is what your soul on a conscious level wanted to experience. It wanted to, like, I get like it wanted to understand why humans could act in a way that was so unimaginable to your soul before it incarnated in a human body. Like I really feel like it was just like I just don't understand why. And when I see this card, it's like the little light bulb. I feel like it's saying like you're just like, oh, I get it. Like it's fucking hard down here. Like shit just hits the fan sometimes, or people do shit that sucks. It's so funny. It's like I feel like your higher self like is just like, I understand why they curse now. I understand. It's not that they're angry all the time. It's just a way to release some of that anger and that lower vibrations and densities in the body. Is literally to like when you curse, you're kind of like getting out of your system the way you're doing it. At least that's how I feel it. Like I think you might curse from time to time, like shit, fuck, and it feels like not angry, which is so interesting. It just feels very like, you know how some people use like cursing, like saying bad words, um kind of like in humor. I feel like that's more how it feels like when you are cursing, like, oh shit, huh, that makes sense. Like it feels very light, which is kind of a weird thing to say about swearing. It feels very light, and I just feel like it's so funny. Like I feel um like your higher consciousness is kind of like, oh, I just like, oh, I just so get it. I just so get it. It is just like hard, and that's why people do it that way. And it's just like getting the clarity around the things you just didn't get. And it's funny because I even feel like this pile's like, I still don't understand why humans do what they do, but it's like, but you understand why they do some of the things they do, and already that's just like mind-blowing to your soul, who just like didn't understand it before. So that's really interesting. And I would have to say, like, whatever comes up for your physical lineage, for sure for this pile, your soul did not come from the same place. Like, you definitely did not. Sorry, battery died there. Okay, so anyways, I just was ranting on about how strongly I feel that you're like, just from the energy coming off of this, like you definitely were someone where it's like there was a strategy and a reason to why you chose the bloodline that you did. And it do feel like it was to sort of change or bring up the frequency in it. So I even do think, let me just double check this. Trust, like, yeah. So I even do think, like, and take this with your own grain of salt, right? Like, you know your family background, you know what's going on in your life. But I do get the impression that maybe your family had some generational patterns that were destructive, and a lot of families do, which is why I always feel like there's always like your physical body will be quite different from your like soul body alignment. Like they'll not usually be the same because you want to do the most work you can. You want to correct the most karma you can, or you want to do the most dharma you can. And dharma is just like what you're here for in this world to accomplish. So I just feel so strongly that like you came and you're like, okay, if I bring my energetics and my karma, and I actually think your good karma is what I'm getting from this pile, then that will help that lineage break out of the cycle they're going down. So you just even being born into it changes the frequency or the vibration that it will continue to ripple down at. So that's really neat. So just being born into this family, you already changed things. Doesn't even matter what you physically do with your family. If you are in contact with them, if you're not in contact with them, you've already done a change. You just being born into that family changed a lot. So that's really cool. Oh, I do feel like you're just such a light. It's funny. I didn't look at soul, but I do feel like it feels so angelic, like very bright. So I do feel like if you were like, whatever comes through, if you're upset that it wasn't, I do keep getting the words Pleiadian or Andromedan. There we go. I would just trust that that's maybe where your soul is from, or a similar vibration of where your soul originates from. Because I do feel like it's very strong in here. And I even feel like with the animals coming through in this card is saying like, if your family in this lifetime isn't supportive, then I almost feel like your guides and your other soul family members came through in your pets and wild animals. Like, it's so funny. Like, if you ever seen like Instagram videos where there's like a little kid and there's like some weird animal that follows them around and they're like, I can't believe this. Like, to me, that is just like a little soul recognizing that soul and just being there and sharing that love, because I feel like that's all they're here for, is to remind us of that unconditional love. It doesn't always mean the families are bad. It's just almost like our souls grieve not seeing our other soul family members. That is hard for our souls to be apart from them. So I feel like you've got some really special pets in your life, and you're probably one of those people where if people are like, I don't understand why you love like your dog so much or your cat so much, or I really feel like for this pile it's random animals like hamster, this random squirrel you saved, like a crow, a goat. Like, I don't want to say I really don't think it's very generic animals. And you just have such a deep connection with them. And it just is, to me, it's just like your little reminders that life is good and life is there. Music is interesting. I do think some of you actually do play some sort of instrument or use your voice a lot. And it feels like you're here adjusting the frequencies of things. So like I was saying, like, especially when we see this world peace and cooperation, like, all these cards are talking about like interacting with others, making, like, I see like a planet and interconnectedness over here, like just talking about how you really did come here to change the vibration, the frequency of what was going on in the planet, in your societies. And it really comes back to, oh, that's cool, there's a little pyramid there, and I got a little pyramid here. Sorry, but it really just comes back to that whole thing of like, even if you did nothing but just live a very traditional life, you are still doing what you came here to do. Like, if this pile, and I don't know why I'm going on this tangent, maybe you've been hard on yourself lately about what your purpose is here or something like that. It's like, your purpose is just to be, like, just to be who you are and be in your vibration. And that changes the frequencies of those around you. I know that can seem so cliche to say, but it really is. It's like like what you hold in your frequency, other people can feel it, although they don't even always see it, and they don't always know what they're feeling, but that can in turn help them shift and learn that their frequency can do that. Like, mirroring is so big, and it's like the easiest way to plant consciousness on this earth. So it's actually such a big deal. But anyways, this music card is so interesting because I do feel like it is saying, like, with your voice or with whatever instrument you play, you do change the frequency around you. And that can be like, you can be like me, I only know how to play the crystal bowls. Like, and I play a pyramid, which is very easy, but that's okay. Like, you're just sending out a different frequency, a higher, calmer frequency out there in the world, and that's just part of your thing. And it's just little butterflies everywhere, and hummingbirds. I actually just looked that up for my friend the other day, is all about creating joy and healing. So it's just like, you have these little birds coming out of all these things, and I just feel like that's re-cementing that you came here in this physical form to change the vibration and to plant the seed of a different frequency here. So it's really neat. I've been talking a lot about my friend who in these last few readings, but I find, and I've even told her this, like, I always seem like the day I have pre-planned to do a pick a card reading for the YouTube channel, because, you know, like, you gotta get them done at some point. I usually have to plan them into a certain hour. I somehow end up doing a past life reading for her, or a future life, whatever you want to call it. We always laugh about that. Like, sometimes, like, the past life is that we're looking into was actually like 2,000 years in the future from now. But it's just, time is so funny that it was a past life for my soul, although it's in the future. It makes sense to me, I guess, but I can see how that can be confusing for some people because it's kind of like a mind warp to grasp. But I guess when you're the one doing these readings for other people, you just get the energy and you get the knowing and you just understand how it all works. So I always am a huge advocate of like doing these kind of readings for yourself, because you'll understand them on such a deep level because you experience all this information just so deeply. So anyways, I can't remember where I was going with that. Oh, I was going to say that I have a similar impression that you, like, this card actually is the one that's really strongly giving it to me. This animal card is just like, I feel like you are very similar in the sense that I think your past life was actually a future life from this time frame. And I think you came back in this time to help seed consciousness, a different form of consciousness, which is huge. Like, it seems so easy, but it's actually so hard because you got to live in that frequency in this human life. And that's actually the hardest part, is for you living the life like this, even though you're used to being at a different frequency and vibration, and coming back in time to help kind of change the course of humanity so that it becomes more conscious and less manipulative. I can't say that word. Manipulated. There we go. I think I was trying to say two different ways of the ending at once. I don't know. I realize that's like a thing I have a trouble with, is my words cannot keep up with my mind and the information I get, that I start speaking in different tenses and tripping over my words. So sorry, I'm still working on that. Someday I hope to no longer do that, but I don't know. It might just be who I am. Okay, so hopefully this has painted a picture for you of why you've chosen to come into this bloodline in this time, in the time now, because I really do think you have come from a future where I think that's even why, like, your soul being in this physical body just is like literally changing the frequency around you. So that's super cool. Super cool. I want to be like, thumbs up, guys, you're doing great. Awesome. World peace and cooperation. Like, that's pretty clear intention about why you came into this bloodline. World peace and working together, I guess. And it feels like less opposition. And even like with the energy, it feels like more of a harmony between the masculine and feminine, and not so much polarity. And I'm sure you've noticed just with COVID and such that there is a lot of polarity sometimes in our world still, in this era or this timeline or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so your bloodline cards. Let's see here. We have the Mantis being enigma, elusive, and sensitive. This is interesting. My one friend, different friend that I keep referring to, this is a different friend. She actually was telling me how she just was recently doing a meditation where a Mantis being came and was guiding her, and she actually said that it was a very, very compassionate, that's the right word, compassionate and loving being, which she said it was like crazy, because when you first look at this imagery, it seems a little scary and unusual, but she said like the energy like that came off of it was so compassionate and loving, and she's like, just like that, it changed her whole perception on what a Mantis being would be like. Yeah, so okay, we have that. We have the Tree of Life. That's very interesting. We have Earth Element, adaptable, reliable. We have Merkaba, movement, long distance travel, excitement. We have the Grays, the tall, because there's also the Grays, the short in this deck. And then we have Alchemy, the Philosopher's Stone. So it's so interesting. It's interesting you have two, but it does make sense. I mean, literally, we do come from two different parents, and the lines go down from there. But actually, what I'm like getting right away here, and I think it even goes to confirm that this, like, your soul lineage and your physical bloodline lineage is very different. When I see the Tree of Life, the Earth Element, and the Merkaba, I literally am seeing this as in your soul traveled to the earth, and I even see like it to bring in this wisdom, like the Tree of Life. To me, that is just such a symbol of bringing in how the laws of the universe work, how to kind of become empowered by the laws of the universe and not submissive. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. And then the alchemy, like literally, to me, I feel like that's just talking about destiny, magic. I love that. Like, to me, alchemy, like, this is the event it took to bring you into the physical form or lineage that you're in. So this is very interesting. I haven't actually seen this come through before, but I would imagine that it was quite hard for a soul incarnation of yours to come into the physical body or bloodline body that you are. So it is interesting. I have heard some people say, like, you know, if you're very high vibration and you're coming into a physical body, and sometimes those physical bodies are the ones who have a lot of autoimmune issues, specifically because it's almost like their frequency just was too high for the physical body. I don't want to say that to limit you, because I truly believe that we can change anything in our reality, and that's a personal belief. It's not trying to shame anyone. This is literally my personal belief, and we all live in our own paradigm. So that's part of my paradigm, is that I can see that, but I do believe that we can change it. Yeah, so anyways, that's not the moral of the story, but I do really feel like it's saying, like, if you have suffered or you have had a lot of autoimmune issues, I think a root of this problem, I think is part of it really is just your frequency, your, like, if you look at this, like, there's this huge like being of light and you're trying to condense it into this little body. It's like you're just so much more than that. That is just, oof, that's just hard to put into a container and keep in a container. So it's almost like your body has a hard time holding that vibration all the time. Interesting. Okay, so anyways, why did you get a mantis in gray? So this is, and you know what, the first thing I want to talk about with this gray card, so I don't know if this pile is familiar with the channeler Bashar, Basha. I think he does RR, like 2 R's at the end, but he actually is a descendant of the Greys, the guy, like the person Bashar, who the man is channeling. And he actually, and I mean, you always just take what feels right for you, but I used to be terrified of the gray aliens when I was like a kid, a teenager, and even a young adult. Like, it's terrified. Like, probably if some people say they're scared of like snakes or spiders, I was terrified of gray aliens, which seems hilarious to say, right? Because when someone asks you that as a kid, it's kind of perceived as weird. So I had this reputation to be a little bit crazy, because I would say, like, I'm scared of aliens. Like, I'm terrified of specifically this alien. That was the only alien I was ever scared of. And so hearing Bashar talk, I was like, oh my God, like, this is actually such a deburdening for me, because I had such a, like, I was so scared of it, and I couldn't, despite my best efforts, get rid of this fear. And maybe you also have this fear, I don't know. But then I come to find out that he was saying that the gray aliens were basically a far future version of humans. And we all, like, there's so many different types of humans that like turn differently in the future. Like, and it kind of makes sense, right? Like, you think about all the possible timelines and all the different things we can do. And I'm sure, like, even you're seeing now with technology, some people are probably going to be more mechanical because they're going to want like the vision enhancements or the prosthetic arms that'll be super strong versus their other arm. Like, you can just see some people going for that, right? And you can see some other people going for something different. So it just makes sense that there'll be tons of different kind of slightly different humanoid species in the future based on how our technology moves forward. But anyways, the point of this is that Bashar explains that the gray aliens had basically tried to remove emotion because they wanted to grow in consciousness, that they thought emotion was holding them back from attaining this higher consciousness. I'm sorry if I'm misquoting some of this. It doesn't hurt to look them up. I'm sure you can just Google or YouTube, Bashar explaining the gray aliens, and I'm sure something will pop up. And maybe that'll be more accurate probably than me just kind of like paraphrasing. But basically, from what I got from it is that they did lose their ability to reproduce, and they also lost their ability to have emotion. And they were very intelligent and realized, okay, there must still be a timeline where humans still are, like, able to have kids, emotional, and still have more of this like humanness that makes us human. So they went into a different timeline. They had soul agreements with us that they could kind of take some of our genetics and some of our DNA and, try to help recreate a human that had emotion again, that basically everything they thought was weak or inferior in humans, they could get it back. And I find it very interesting because then Bashar also explained that because they didn't have any emotion anymore, they didn't realize how incredibly terrifying it was when they came and your soul had agreed with it prior to incarnation, but not in the human body, had no longer remembered that you had agreed to help this, basically the future human, return humans to a more human-like state, or our current form of human state. And so he is like the product of humans and these gray aliens, kind of creating like an in-between human. This is such beautiful terminology, I know, that I'm using. But anyways, it was just very interesting because he kind of apologized on the behalf of like his grandparents, basically, for not realizing the trauma and the fear that his people had caused humans, not because they literally were like, they were just like it says, organized, intimidating. Can't say that word right now, but basically just we're like, we need this. They said we can have it. We're going to go for it. And forgot about all human compassion and emotion and kindness because they had outgrown that. They took it out of who they were. So that actually, to me, when I heard that, I don't know why, that just made me feel so much better. I think it just like really, really resonated with me and it really made sense to me. So anyways, when I see this, I feel like it's very interesting. So I got really caught in that story. So I'm kind of thinking, yeah, you know what? I am just going to go with the first thing I'm saying. So this one, it's funny. The Mantis being says elusive and sensitive. So it's literally the opposite of the energy of this guy here. It's like compassionate, sensitive, and kind. And this one's more without emotion, but organized, calculated, more scientific and logical. So it's very interesting because when I'm looking at these, I keep getting the idea that I almost feel like your blood lineage came from them both. Like I feel like, and it was like this guy and this guy like were working together to, I don't know, create humans. And I'm just trying to tune in on when that would have been. Like when in your ancestry would this have happened? Okay, it's interesting. So if you think, like, I don't think all humans came from the exact same origin, but I'm like, okay, so from what I have seen in doing other sort of past life readings for people and through my own sort of past life experiences, I have seen that the Greys were one of the people who took Neanderthals, and they were like, they did it a really bad way. They killed a lot of them. They killed a lot of the men and they took the woman is kind of what I saw in like this glimpse of a past life. And what I can see is I think this was sort of like they had taken some of these androids and they had altered their genetics a little bit. But for some reason, I feel like they didn't get, I don't know what result they were looking for, but they didn't quite get what they were looking for. And I feel like the Mantis being, like I literally think like they worked together to slightly alter the DNA so they could get the human they got, if that makes any sense. And I think the funny thing is I keep getting, they wanted the compassion. The DNA of the Mantis being held more compassion. And that's what I feel like the Greys were lacking. And it almost makes sense because these Neanderthals, I can't quite say that word again, Neanderthals, it weren't that they were lacking compassion, but they were quite ape-like from what I could see of them. Like, they're very kind of like in their groups, and they were very kind of like hierarchical, but they did still care about each other. So I almost feel like they tried to take sort of the consciousness that they had attained. Like I feel like the Greys had, it's a different type of consciousness, obviously, because you meet a lot of other higher dimensional beings who have a different type of consciousness that still has compassion and love. And it's interesting. I would love to know more about how these guys kind of adapted into this version of the human. But I just haven't taken the time to do that yet. But anyways, yeah, I do feel like they're saying like the key to it was using some of their DNA with the Neanderthal DNA. And then I feel like they used, it's so funny. I just feel like the Greys were like really good at like making people in like literally like, what's this called? Like, I don't want to say test tubes because they're much bigger, but I feel like they were just good at that. Like, you know how everyone has like their specialty? They were good at sort of genetic merging and making like a human. I know it sounds so weird, but I just, it's so interesting. They're just such scientists is how I would see it. They're very scientists and they're very like, oh, right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this. We need this. We need a little bit of this for a recipe for it to work how we want. And it's just like, that's how they see the world. So yeah, very interesting. So I think that even might explain too why I keep getting like this whole alchemy thing and this like merging of like this earth element, because also when I think of earth, it's like they took something that already was here on earth, like the Neanderthal kind of DNA. And then I feel like they took your soul. Well, they didn't take your soul chose to come in, and then they merged it. So it's really interesting. It's almost like this process of divine alchemy that created this new type of basically humanoid that could be more compassionate, that was more conscious and a little more aware than its ancestor, the Neanderthal ancestor, who, and even with the tree of life, like I'm saying, like it's almost like they put, I almost feel like they put this understanding in the DNA of this body, this physical body. So it's very neat. It's very neat. And I'm hoping this is making sense and not just sounding like complete ramblings. But I have a few more cards here. So we have Heal. We have Pluto, Rebirth, which is funny because my friend was just telling me how Pluto is like where some people look in astrology for karma. Conjunction and alliance, and we have Neptune, vision. So very interesting. So I do feel like, to me, this is just re-cementing what we've been talking about. So Heal, I feel like you're coming in to literally rebirth and heal the karma of your blood lineage in this life. And I want to be very clear that I don't think this pile has probably had too many lifetimes with the family you were actually born in. It might have been some, but I don't think there was very many. It doesn't feel like they're your soul family. It feel like you just came in to help them out because you're a good person and a good soul and you just like wanted to do some good. So it's really interesting, and definitely just with the karma, wanted to help with the karma of the lineage. Yeah, I hear it too. And literally if you look at this card, like it's just like there's pearls reflecting all sorts of light. It feels very healing. Alliance, which is interesting. Alliance and conjunction and Neptune and mission. So the vision card is also interesting because it makes me think of the card right underneath this one that said education. You know how I was saying, like, I'm just so drawn to this person's eye, and I feel like they're just taking in the world and everything that's happening and understanding it. And I just feel like with the vision card, I feel like it's referring it once again to you kind of planting the seeds of this like other way of being. And I feel like it's even like saying like you putting like what you have seen the world to be, what you who can understand the higher possibilities of this earth, and you just bringing that literal vision and that remembrance from your soul into this world, into this planet. It's super interesting. I feel like this card is actually very deep. Like it makes me think of like the microcosm and the macrocosm and just all sorts of crazy shit is going on in my head right now. But yeah, really neat. I really do feel like, once again, I just want to reiterate, like, if you've been hard on yourself about what your life purpose is or what you're here to do, literally just being here and holding the frequency of who you are on a soul level is changing things so much and just planting seeds and changes in the world. So I just think that's so cool. And alliance, I'm still a little stuck on this alliance card. I mean, it does also make me think of this card here where it talks about cooperation and working together. But I don't know who it's talking about. Who are you in an alliance with? Who are you working with? And I mean, I guess there is a lot of alliance in your bloodline even, like working together to create like a higher frequency being or higher frequency physical body. Yeah, I'm not sure. Team harmless and teamwork, conjunction and alliance. Maybe this even just makes sense to you all as the person watching this. Maybe you are very team orientated. Maybe you are really inspired by a different style of leadership. Like, oh, you know what? That could even be it. Like, I wonder if you're even here to teach people what a healthy version of leadership looks like. Not controlling or having power over another, but working alongside and hearing each other. I'm not too sure, but I feel like it's really big for you all, you all who chose this pile, because I mean, you have two cards talking so strongly about it. So that's very interesting. Yeah. And even I'm looking at this alchemy card here, and there's like a little, like, I don't know, I see that as like it's like an atom or something, but I just keep feeling like it just keeps cementing, like you came from 3 different things, like your soul's different, you came from a few different like I don't want to say species, but kind of species. I don't know. It's just really cool. I feel like there's so much layers to you and your frequency and what's going on here. Super cool. I don't know. I feel like if you chose this file, though, you're probably someone who's quite capable of doing your own card reading or doing your own meditation or things to get more information around this if you're wanting more information. But sometimes I totally get it. It is just nice to have someone else read it for you so that you don't feel like your own bias is coming into it. So yeah, totally get it. But I feel like if you're wanting more information or clearer information, I would suggest this pile. Pull some cards for themselves, or do a meditation, or watch that Bashar video. It might help you feel more at peace with this if some of you are having a hard time like digesting that. I don't know, it feels better though. I'm feeling into the energy and I feel like it feels like everyone's kind of like interesting. Okay. Or some of you are like, what the fuck did you just say? For the last little while. I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's okay, because you probably didn't make it this far. Which is totally okay. So anyways, I think that's all I have for you. Hope that you found that interesting or that helped you in some way. And I hope you had a great day. Bye. Hello, pile 2. So you chose the waters of the planet. So I'll put that here. And maybe I'll do the same thing as I did for the last pile, where I'm going to look at why you chose to reincarnate into this bloodline before I look at the actual bloodline. Okay, so we have crystalline light body. We have the economy. Trust your needs will be met. And we have the new children and travel. Find ecological ways to explore the world. Interesting. Crystalline light body. So the first thing I did want to kind of talk about, and it actually goes pretty good with these two cards here. So I am working on a channeled oracle card deck from the mountains, and they literally say in one of the channeled messages they got, bless the waters. And it's so funny, as I'm reading this, I'm just like, it just really makes me think back to that channeled message. It was quite long, but bless the waters was like part of it. And it was just talking about how if everyone on this earth, when they saw something that wasn't of the frequency or the state they wanted it to be, if they could just bless it and send it love, that would offer it healing and would return it to a higher vibration than it was. And if you've ever seen that, I think it was a Japanese, was he a scientist or a researcher? Something like that. I can never remember his name until someone says it, but he did study like a jar of rice, and like one rice jar was told it was good and loved and all these great things, and this other jar of rice was told it was bad, ugly, gross, like I hate you. And they found that the one jar of rice stayed good, even though it was just as the same age as the other one, and the other one was molding and rotting and going disgusting, and it was like black. And they're saying like the frequency in which you say things to things are heard and your intention is heard. And it just makes me think of this card here, and how everything is made up of some percentage of water, and water like frequency travels quickly in water. So it just, I don't know, it makes me think about part of the reason why you might have come here or into this blood lineage is what the question was to change the frequency. And it's interesting that like there's the same little like colored dot on the third eye on the heart, and this water makes me think of the same color, where I really feel like you were just here to bring up the vibe, bring up the frequency, bring up the vibration of everything. And I feel like bring in ancient wisdom. Like when I see this pyramid card and like the frequency and the energy coming off of it, I just feel like you are a old soul coming into a totally random bloodline, to bring in this wisdom. And it all feels very meditative. Like, it's interesting, like you have a lotus flower here, and then you have like this Buddha over here, and I just feel like that feels like so strongly like with who you are. Like your soul feels so connected to mindfulness. That's the word it would use: mindfulness, awareness. And I even feel like it's saying like you came in to help generate the next generation, like new children. I feel like you're just here to help make life easier for the next generation and bring back old wisdom. That's pretty strong here. I'm like, there's so much cool cards and stuff going on, but I feel like they're like, this is the gist. Like, this is literally what we're trying to say, is just that bringing consciousness in so future generations have the space to be more mindful, more conscious, and the earth is more blessed and healed. Like, literally, I feel like you do just change so much. Like, I feel like this is a great symbology of you, like the crystalline light body, where it's just like you're just healing the world as you go. Like, you just walk over there and you're bringing some like healing to the earth there, and some healing to the people and the environment there. And I think it all just happens from you leading from your heart, leading from that mindfulness space. So that's really cool. Blessing everything and not cursing it. And cursing it can just look like being like, ugh, that water's so gross and dirty. I wish it wasn't. Like, that's the kind of energy it talks about when it talks about cursing. And I don't get that you do that. Or if you do it, I think you correct yourself and go, I love you. I love you, water. I wish you the best. Like, I bless you with the clear, I don't know, clarification. I don't know what you do, but I feel like it's something like that, where you're just like, oh, bless you. Like, I love you. And I feel like really intense heart energy as you're saying those things. So it's funny. I feel like the first pile, I spent a long time explaining these cards, but I feel like I'm ready to move on to the next thing because it seems very clear about what you're doing. It's a big job, but it's very clear. Okay. Oh my gosh. So interesting. You have Syrians, which is cool. I know them as sort of the NASA archetypes of the universe. We have Anunnaki, controlling drama, conflict of interest. We have Venusians, romance, soulmates, empathy. And we have Tau Sentience. Wow, that is just like a basket of randomness. Right? So interesting. A little mix of everything. So your blood lineage, this is so interesting. Let me just see. You know what? The only answer I'm really getting is like definitely feel like Galactic Federation related. And you know what's so interesting too is when I tune into it a little bit more, I get the impression that for this pile, I think, and I have talked about it in one of my other past life readings, that was an empowered past life where you were a leader, if you want to watch it. I did talk about the Galactic Federation coming together and making a human that would be able to hold consciousness and help the human species not be so primitive. That sounds bad, and I know that sounds really bad, but it was more like we were just like very unconscious and unmindful, and we just were very much in base chakra, not root chakra, base chakra, which to me is like a whole nother ball game. It's just very survivalistic. So it's interesting because when I see all this, I feel like I just keep saying that your lineage, you come from the bloodline in this physical carnation of some of the people they literally created. I'm trying to tap in and ask for a little more information, but problem is with general pick a card readings, I can't get that specific because if it's not true for some of you, or for like more than like half of you, then I can't get the information. They're like, it's not true enough for the whole. It's not true enough for the collective that they won't share it with me. But I do just get, I don't know when. I don't know when. I don't know which wave you were. And if you do watch that other past life reading, I don't know which wave you were from that I referred to in that past life reading. I just know that for sure you were kind of in that era. That's where your lineage came from. So that's really cool. And it's also so fascinating because they're all such different beings. Like we have ones who are very smart. We have ones who are engineers. We have ones who had more ego, and we had some who were more about empowering and protecting to the point where we would be too naive. And then we have ones that were really caring about us being I just get like powerful, being very powerful. Warriors, yeah. You know what's so interesting? I know this doesn't say Lyrian, but I feel like this actually should have been a Lyrian card, like those cat people. I wonder if it's in pile 3 and that's why it didn't come out, because if it's more appropriate for pile 3 because that's their lineage, then it would have come up for them. But this Tau Sentiens, I don't know who they are, but I feel like they're actually Lyrian people that you came from. So very interesting. Very cool. So basically they made a person that, yeah, could hold mindfulness and consciousness. And they basically made a few different waves of people. The first wave was just to help plant consciousness, and then those people literally just kind of left the planet. They were never born on the planet, they never died on planet. And then with similar DNA, they made another slightly adjusted humanoid who could reproduce with the humans, and basically that lineage continued today on our planet. And it was just to help people be able to be more conscious, less manipulable, less likely to be manipulated by fear or other forces trying to sort of corrupt the human into more violence and scarcity and survivalistic tendencies. So it's really neat. I just get that you came from there, or your blood lineage came from there. So super cool. We have a few more cards here. We have Mercury messages. We have Saturn structure. We have Juno partnership, and we have 5th house passion. So interesting. Hey, like you have 2 cards here that are kind of talking about passion, partnership. 3 cards, I guess I would say. So that seems like a pretty big thing. And you know what? I wonder if that even is confirming that the blood lineage you came from was from the ones who like were kind of like, I don't know how you'd say it. They weren't born on Earth. They were kind of put on Earth to have babies with the humans of the time. And I do feel like I get that like it came from like a love relationship. It wasn't just like they were just doing it to to spread consciousness. I do think there was relationship there, compassion there. And I even I think this is important because I literally think like that's important to your bloodline. Like the relationship, the soulmate, the passion, partnership. Which is interesting because I always thought that was more of a like soul thing, like to want those experiences, but I feel like it's in like your physical DNA, your blood DNA. It's like, I don't know. I mean, this is a bold statement, but I almost wonder if in your lineage people have found partners that they are quite in love with and like die of like, if they die, maybe they die of a broken heart. I don't know. There's something there. There's something kind of interesting going on with partnership there that I can't quite put my finger on. Maybe it's almost even like maybe a little bit codependent relationship. Like you're both too codependent on each other. Like, I don't know. I can't quite tell, but it's very interesting. And the other thing I get though is like, I think having like someone who holds divine masculine and someone who holds divine feminine is quite quintessential to your physical lineage. I don't know why this is coming up. It's almost like that's what your physical body will crave, like physically will crave. If you hold more of a feminine energy, and doesn't matter your actual gender, you will crave someone who holds more of the other. And it's just like, that's, I don't know, it's like that's just passed down in your blood lineage for some reason, is this like craving partnership and a divine other half. So I don't totally understand this, and maybe this pile has heard this before and you can even enlighten me on it because I don't really understand it. But super interesting. And then structure coming through. That's very interesting as well. This is all about like allowing more space for change. So interesting. Kind of a mysterious pile for me. Like, not often that I can read a pile and feel like I'm only getting part of the story, and there's a lot of holes in it still. So it almost makes me want to find one of you and do a private reading, because then that way I would actually get the little filler holes that I'm not getting for the general card reading. But anyways, it will come through. Also, I keep seeing this little rock that's glowing as a little meteorite, which is very interesting. Yeah. I think you still hold a lot of like blood DNA of that original like star being, which is also really cool. You must have, yeah, just very interesting body. Like I would almost wonder yeah, like I feel like it would it make you like way more likely to be healthier than other people. I'm not sure. I don't know. I almost feel like this pile would be really good at healing themselves. Maybe that's what it is. But I'm like, no, because they're saying everyone has that ability. I don't know. Anyways, you're kind of a bit of a mystery to me. Sorry, pile two. I can't seem to get a lot of specifics for you. All of you are just a little bit too different, but super interested in this relationship dynamic. You know what? Maybe I'll even read what Venusian means in this guidebook, and that might even clear up this big mystery to me about what this species of person is even about. So let's do that. So we have, sorry. Okay. So it says for this card, this little romance card here, it says the Venusians are humanoid extraterrestrials that live on our Venus sister planet within our solar system. They are descendants from the Lyra race. Oh my gosh. That makes sense. That makes sense why I was like, I feel like you are the cat people. You are the cat people. This card literally are descendants of the cat people. Okay, that clears up a lot of confusion I had about that. Okay. Anyways, Venus is extremely hot and on third dimensional realms uninhabitable by human standards. However, Venus is steaming with exuberant life and highly evolved civilizations. Venus has sophisticated environmental technologies that protect its colonies. These beautiful people coexist in complete harmony. Venus has no wars, is completely egalitarian, and has neither money systems nor fraud. Similar to their distant cosmic cousins, the Pleiadians, the Venusians also have a tarnished history. Eons ago, before they collectively shifted their consciousness and frequencies, the Venusians' egos nearly wiped their entire bloodline out and almost totally destroyed their own home planet, which forced them to wake up and ascend. Venusians reside in the higher astral realms of the fourth dimension, which somewhat parallels in the appearance to the third, only more alive, luminous, and enlightened. Due to their activated consciousness, they are able to be fully present in their etherical light body form if they desire. They can also manifest into their 3D material body if they choose. They are very psychic and extremely empathetic. They are masters of manifestation. A structured form of telepathy is used for communication within their community. While it's in their astral form, they do not eat actual food, but rather absorb energy as a form of sustenance and nutrients. Many of them visit, and some are contracted to live here on Earth. The harsh densities of Earth can make the initial 3D transition difficult for them. Valiant Thor was one well known for Venusian that worked at the Pentagon in the early 60s during the Eisenhower presidency. The Venusians are energetically and deeply connected with the heart vibration of unconditional love and are participating in assisting the conscious awakening of the Earthlings. Interesting. So I think that did actually, for me, clarify why there's such a close tie here. And I think it's even saying, like, in this DNA that was formed, I think for your physical incarnation or of your bloodline, a lot of it I think came from these people, because it's just so persistent that this energy is still so deeply in your bloodline. So deeply in your bloodline. So that's really neat. And I do think it was from a long time ago. So yeah, must have been a good chunk of it. Or I even wonder if some of them came in and like, this is going to sound bad, interbred with you again, like we're in relationships with some of your bloodline again and just like reintroduced that not energy but that blood lineage in you, in your families. I don't know, really interesting. Really interesting, and so explains why I couldn't figure out why you seem so cat-like. Anyways, I think this is all I have for you, and hopefully in some way this brought some sort of interesting insight to you or confirmations. And you know, that's all I have to say. So I hope you have a good day. Hello, Pile 3. So you all chose 41, the Super Love Portal. And this is actually one of the cards I chose for why you decided to incarnate into the bloodline. So before we look at what bloodline it was, we're going to look at the why. And I've just been doing this just in case some of you don't like the bloodline. And then you'll understand the why before you hear it. Then I think it might help digest it a bit better. So I don't know, maybe you'll love the place you're coming from. So anyways, we here have nature, we have angels, and we have sexuality, and then we have family relationships, attune heart to heart. Very interesting. I am very curious to see what physical bloodline this is. As I am just looking at it, it actually feels like your why is just that you wanted to have a very enlightened life, which is interesting. Like all this is talking about using energy and frequencies to your advantage and connection with other people and having a heart-to-heart relationship. So that's really neat. It also makes me wonder if your soul before this lifetime had chosen a handful of kind of trickier physical bodies to be born into. So what do I just mean by that? Like I feel like whatever bloodline you had previously been incarnated in, I have a hunch that for this pile, if you're choosing it, it was quite a few lifetimes that were with a vessel or a bloodline that couldn't naturally hold such a high vibration. And I do feel like your soul was just like, you know what, like I've experienced this, but in this lifetime, I want something that can really connect with the earth, and I want something that can better hold the higher vibration soul that I'm bringing into it. So this is really cool. And then it just says priorities, the love portal, coming from the heart center, connecting in with nature, being in a state of understanding your oneness with the universe. And everyone can learn that throughout their life, but I feel like you wanted a vessel that could already kind of remember that connection. So that's really interesting. And then angels, ask the angels. To me, I really just feel like this is just talking about high energy and connection with divine. Oh my gosh, I actually wonder if your physical bloodline is going to have been influenced by some sort of angelic being. Maybe like I know there's like that era where they said like star seeds or angels fallen angels came down and bred with humans. Like I almost wonder if like this is gonna be like that lineage. And of like a very, very far off lineage of that, I should add, but just like it feels like the vessel really can hold like this amount of energy. So that's really cool. And it's very good at self-regulating. That's what I keep getting. That was important for you for this lifetime. And I really just keep getting it's because you just wanted something that was a little bit easier to hold, and you kind of had enough of that past incarnation for now. So I wouldn't be surprised if in your next lifetime you went into like a denser physical body. But yeah, it just really get that your body was like, give me a break, man. This is hard. And I want to do something a bit different. Family relations attuned to heart. So lots of heart energy here, lots of connection. And when I see the sexuality, I really feel like it's talking about being in your kundalini energy and realizing and understanding its power. So much about utilizing life force power. Super cool. So that's actually pretty brief, but I am already feeling eager to look at your other cards. I actually think I'll look at these last. So what we got for your bloodline. Okay, we have reptilian, protector, survivor, and tyrannical. We have the flower of life. We have fire elements. Ooh, that goes so well with the Kundalini vibe. And then we have Arcturian, feeling safe, wisdom keepers, and concern. Interesting. So, yeah, I would actually say that it just feels like, and like the other piles had this, where, like, for lack of better words, like two different races or two different species of other beings like worked together to alchemize a certain lineage of people, and I would feel like you are the same. But you know what's so interesting is I do get that I think the bloodline, the physical bloodline you came from, was first influenced by reptilians. So like someone there must have had a little bit of that DNA. Or a lot of that DNA, actually. I correct myself. I feel like they had a lot of that DNA. But then further down your lineage, like further as in closer to you, I feel like the Arcturian DNA made it into the bloodline, which is really interesting. So I almost feel like, I'm just checking. I actually feel like it was them coming in to sort of adjust. Like actually from what I'm getting is I feel like a lot of the humans bloodline, like the human species, are associated with reptilian and draconian, and I don't really know why, but I get that. I get that as being like a very common ancestor for people who for our physical lineage. And I do feel like the Arcturians in your blood lineage came through to just kind of help shift some of that vibration so that there wasn't so much density. And there's nothing wrong with this. It's just like it's like a heavier density, and this is a very high density. Or sorry, am I saying that right? Light density is probably what I should have said. But I just even feel like I really feel like it's like saying through, like I feel like another form of alchemy. They changed the DNA. So it's interesting, and I even think that would make for quite a versatile physical body for lack of a better word, because here it's talking about needing the earthly spirit to be able to connect in with like the earth energies and the physical world, but then also having this sort of bloodline in your heritage to help your body physically be able to handle that higher frequency energy, that sort of angelic energy, that like high frequency. And it wouldn't have been possible in only a reptilian lineage. Well, it's just a lot harder. But I feel like, yeah, with this, it makes perfect sense. Like you really chose the perfect bloodline to have both a strong physical connection to this earth and yet be able to attain this high energy in the physical form. So that is super, super cool. And the interesting thing here is I like how it says passion, fearlessness, and warrior element. And to me, I feel like that's really what these Arcturians were trying to shift when influencing this DNA lineage is because I feel like they were trying to shift the human species out of that state of fear that was sort of more easily innate in us. Not that it was the only thing we could do, it was more in the way we were at the time. And I feel like lower density that kind of comes from, or the heavier density that kind of comes from these kind of reptilian and draconian lineages, kind of just help us stay more in fear. It doesn't mean that we have to be fear. It's just, it feels very base chakra, as I keep referring to in my card readings. Not root chakra, base chakra. To me, it feels different because base chakra to me feels like our more primitive instincts. And I don't even know if that's how other people refer to it, but to me, it's just how I've been shown it. Like this base chakra and then this root chakra, and then there's an earth star chakra, and the base chakras just are more animalistic species. Sorry, my one cat has just been a shyster to his siblings today, where it sounds way worse than it is, but they grew up together and they just have always sort of played like this, where one is like thinking it's a game and the other one is like, this is not a game, I don't want to play with you right now, but then they just do it to each other. So I guess it's payback. Payback for all the times the one feels like and the other one doesn't. Yeah, so very interesting. I am going to already move on to sort of, I just pulled these cards also as just to confirm a little bit more about your blood lineage. And we have expand, think, pinnacle, and beloved. So that's really interesting. So Midhaven. I don't know. This card's kind of interesting to me. I'm not super sure what's going on, but the fact that it says mid heaven to me, it kind of even just to me feels like it reiterates that whole like you kind of come from something that like comes from both sides, like this sort of denser and then this high vibrational thing, which just has formed such a complementary blood lineage to come from and like be efficient in this world. You know, like being like a constant energy channeler, but also still being able to be grounded enough on this earth plane. So it's really neat. It actually just, I feel like, damn, it would be nice if we all came from this kind of lineage, because I just feel like our souls that are such high frequencies would just even be able to remember more in this lifetime, being in a body that can handle that energy. It's almost like I feel like you wouldn't have been so prone to forget. And if you're someone who has chosen this pile and you're like, I do have like weird like before birth memories, or I have like really early memories, that would make sense to me. I feel like your vessel could just handle it. Yeah, beloved, this too just confirms to me that whole like, I feel like you really cared about the heart connection and love and compassion. The Venus planet too, just talking about kind of like relationships and love life. Super cool. The expand card, I feel like this also just is confirming the whole wanting to be able to come in to a life or a physical body that could handle a deeper consciousness or mindfulness and growth. Sorry, not the other cat is now doing that to the first cat that was buzzing. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, now my other cat thinks she should also play, but if anyone plays back, she freaks out, which is what you just heard. I don't know what's going on here, but we're getting close to the end of this reading, and maybe that's for the best for everyone. Okay. Oh boy. Hey, guys. Chill. Let's just chill. Sorry, Steve. Okay. Like, we're doing... Okay, I actually think the energy might be associated with this pile, because I literally turned off this camera, opened a window, we all took some soul breaths together, my cats and I, everyone was doing good, and then I just hit record, and then I just literally watched all 4 cats start attacking each other again. So we're just gonna wrap up this reading, because apparently this is just not vibing with the cats. It's bringing a lot of aggression in them for some reason. I don't know. Just in this file. Not sure what that means. But I just wanted to add in with this centaur in this card. Isn't it interesting that it talks about 2 different species kind of becoming one and being half and half. So I just find that really interesting. I feel like that to me just really explains like being half of one thing and half of another. So yeah, sorry, this one was a little bit short, but oh gosh, yeah, oh gosh. No. No, Milk. You're not supposed to escape. You're not supposed to escape out the window. All right, like I was saying, shit is going weird now. So my cat just like opened up the window so she could squeeze her whole body through and then jumped out. And luckily I grabbed her. Okay. All right. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna leave this here. And remember, what I was just saying, you guys have an awesome day. Hope it was interesting. And I'm gonna end this pick a card reading for my cats do anything else weird.